We are the Pelican Bay leaders, and we are the face of GOGI.
The history of GOGI came here. First, it was a peace group, and GOGI came in and joined with the peace group, and then basically it started from there in 2015, and it's been lasting ever since, going good, going strong, still going.
And how have some of you gotten involved in GOGI? What was your first exposure to GOGI?
My first exposure is my cellie, which is Mr. Dixon. When I first came here in 2016, he was involved with it real heavily, and he introduced me to a book, and then from there it just took off. So I liked what I saw in it, and I thought it was something I needed in my life.
Cool. What about the rest of you? How did you guys get
I got introduced to GOGI through my brother, Mr. Sakal, because I was fresh out of the SHU and didn't have no real direction. So he told me a little rundown about GOGI, and I put it in my life, and I live by the GOGI law.
Cool. Yes.
My exposure was actually you. You came to my cell and you explained that other inmates created it. You told me how good of a program it was, and
Was I wrong?
No, you wasn't.
Okay, good.
My experience was Mr. Chinda right here. He came and slid some books under my cell, and he told me to just read it. I didn't want to believe him. I'm like, this is not going to help me. He said it would. So I actually looked through it and started doing the tools, and it actually helped me out. So ever since then, I've been doing all the books.
Cool.
So it really did help me out, and I thank him every day for it.
Anybody else want to talk about? Yeah.
Well, my exposure to GOGI was through a counselor.
Oh.
And he introduced me to GOGI, and at first I really thought it was kind of corny, but kind of helped me out. It really helped me out, motivated me to do right.
Cool.
My exposure was with Keith Hampton. I just saw a drastic change in his lifestyle, and I wanted to be a part of it, man. We both from Long Beach, and he'd be a beautiful asset to the community as well.
Awesome. Anybody else want to share how they got?
My first experience was Shelly Baker. You know what I'm saying? We've been knowing each other for a long time and been in different prisons. And I seen how motivated he was in doing it. And being that I know him, so I got involved into it and just took off from there. And I enjoyed it and changed my life.
Cool.
My first experience was Mr. Dixon. He came out my room and gave me the first assignment on the big book, How to GOGI. And I just been GOGIing ever since.
Awesome. Anybody else? Couple down to here?
My first one was my cellie, Annapolis, He's the leader. Since I moved into his cell, he's been helping me out with GOGI, and that's changed me to a better man.
Well, in my experience, I get introduced to GOGI because I find that the GOGI book in the trash because it's a Spanish book. So the first of all, I don't want to get into it because I'm not good reading English, but as soon as I see it in Spanish, I get a little bit tension, like, oh wow, this is in Spanish. So I find it trash, I start reading it, and I find that works for me. So.
Yeah, habla español.
Okay, yo encontré el libro en la basura porque era en español. No lo quería agarrar, pero cuando lo empecé a leer miré que era interesante y tenía unas herramientas que me usé y que sí que me gustaron y sí puedo utilizar en mi vida diaria.
Gracias.
My introduction to GOGI was when you first appeared, 2015. We were doing a peace group, and you brought this new, I don't want to say program, but this new idea to 8 Yard. And we were all receptive to it. We all wanted to participate, and we've been doing it since 2015.
Pretty
8
cool.
Yard, Pelican Bay State Prison.
Yeah, very, very different than how the Bay was not too long ago.
Exactly, yeah. So we've it's made a big difference. Things are changing, going a different direction. And I'm proud of all these guys, because we're all doing it together.
Yeah.
And it can only happen with all of us.
Right now, like having been part of the problem, who better than to be part of the solution? And then through this, like he said, I don't want to say program, but through this culture, through this GOGI family, we've learned to control our emotions, to not act and think impulsively, and really just come to the knowledge of that we're in control of ourselves. And that in and of itself, we control everything else. Being the boss of our brains, we're the boss of our whole identity and whole person. And that's being the boss of our actions, our thinking, our positive words, positive thoughts, positive actions, and bringing that back to the community. Who better than to help rebuild the same communities that we once destroyed or were the problem in? So for me, and I believe everybody else here, like, that's one of the biggest things with this program, and that's what we want people out there to know, that,
Right.
you know, having been part of the problem, who better than to be part of the solution? And we genuinely and sincerely want to be that solution. And thanks to GOGI, we are.
Who else has a comment on that? Who wants to piggyback on what he just said? Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a natural transition. Once you've made it to the lowest point that you can in life, I think it's important for you to take that history and that knowledge that you gained and use it to wise the domes of the people that you meet out there in the streets that's going through the same thing.
Why is that more credible than a textbook or what mom and dad might say? Why would you be more of a solution than a teacher who can't keep her kids quiet, or a mother that has 2 jobs just to put food on the table?
That step, you know, it's important. And GOGI is the toolbox that we need. You can't use a hammer for everything.
No.
You know, we need the wrench for some things. We need to be able to, you know, tighten the screws. And at the end of the day, I think that with the GOGI tools, it's also a toolbox, and we can go in and use what needs to be done for those children. You know, it's about the kids. That's
Yeah,
what's gonna
like you said, having been them kids, like I know a lot of us coming up in here, like when they come and introduce programs and other things, that'd be one of the main things I always said, like how this person's never experienced none of the experiences that I went through none of the trials I went through, yet they're telling me how to bring myself up out of that. But through GOGI, it's created a platform for us, giving us the tools that we can be that person that we was always seeking. We went through them experiences, we lived that life, and you know, it might be misguided at first because the youth are going to see that, like they were once this, but we got their attention. And then we can turn that attention to a positive and give them the same tools that we were equipped with so they can help others. It's like a pay it forward.
For me, ultimate freedom is the ability to give back to my community when I'm given that opportunity. When I'm giving back, you know, I have struggled with addictions. I was a drug addict for a few years, and I've seen the dark side of drugs and my addiction. I've seen that my life was unmanageable at many points in my life, but through using ultimate freedom and being able to give back and mentors and inspire others to get off drugs or get off their criminal thinking, in a way it kind of keeps me on a sober path. It keeps me sober, it keeps me grounded, and by me giving back, I'm not just giving back to the community, I'm really giving back to myself and making sure that I stand firm in my journey. And that's what ultimate freedom means to me.
Awesome. Anybody else on the tool Ultimate Freedom?
Yeah, see what ultimate freedom, what it means to me is understanding who I am, understanding the struggles that I've been through, and knowing that I am of service to our community, because we have to be like Sakal was saying earlier, we have to be a solution to the problems that's going on in society now. So with these GOGI tools, it helps us give testimony with our life experiences in order to make change in the lives of our youth, because they need us. So like just providing myself, investing in myself, my experience in the education that I received from the rest of my GOGI-lators, you know, I can put one foot in front of the other and make a change in life.
Pelican Bay actually made you a better person than you once was. So if it wasn't for Pelican Bay, I probably would be in danger to your child. I probably endanger your child. But now Pelican Bay helped me become this man that I am today. That's going to help you probably with your baby.
Awesome. Yeah.
I mean, a simple introduction. I think it's important for us to know the people that are actually in our communities, you know, and everybody has their issues. So putting all our cards on the table and letting you know my journey, it adds to the humanity. I'm a human being, you know. I didn't start out like this, you know. But at the end of the day, it took. I have a well-evolved understanding about life because of what I went through. And I know I can help people in many different areas of life. You know, I've been able to look at it from the outside looking in, and being able to having that observation, I can be able to step in where I'm needed.
Yeah, and let's hear from the back row. Is that why most of your families, when you get on the phone with them, they're asking you for advice? You know, is that why? Because you have this wisdom? Talk to me about the service that you're providing to family members now. Speak to that for a second.
I think the family members now ask for advice based on the things we go through in here. If you can make it in here, you can make it out there. Based on a lot of people go through a lot in here, and I think the temptations and the pressure in here is greater than the pressures out there, even though in here we don't have rent to pay, we ain't got to worry about insurance. But out there, once you get the input and the comfort from a person that's in here that's living it and doing it, it's like, okay, well, I can accept what this person is telling me better than someone that's next door to me based on he's in the same position I'm in, except for another different address. So with somebody behind the wall, I think our attitudes and, how can I say it, I probably was basically to sum it up to say someone in here would have a better understanding of life being incarcerated because you've been in here and you had time to think, because out there you don't have time to think, to sit back and analyze the situation, and in here that's all you got is time.
I think out there it's more easy to basically run away from or try to get away from the situation. When in here, you gotta face it head on. So I mean, that in and of itself should show the resilience and drive we got to be better people, because we can't escape the situation, no matter what, it's in your face. So, and out there, like, you know, I believe that it's easier for you to find some escapes, and not all them escapes are good escapes, but really personally, when is any escape good? You should just deal with it and face it. And you know, with GOGI, we got the tools to do that.
With GOGI, I think we are lucky to come through this prison, right, and get involved in this GOGI. Because the struggles they go out there, they go through out there, we was out there, we was going through the same struggles. But now we ran into the solutions of how to handle our problems and our struggles and get over it in the most positive way we can by coming to GOGI. And I think by us experiencing this GOGI transformations, we help them by enlightening them with the tools that we learned from GOGI. And I think that'll brighten them up a little bit.